Here we go.
Sports!
I listen to you guys all the time.
It's awesome.
I'm in the mood for one of your classic anecdotes.
Give yourselves a round of applause.
Hey guys, there is someone I want you to meet.
Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun on Off the Hook Sports. Represented by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio. East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net.
Hey, look, we're all part of the same team here.
Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
We got your X's and O's today. Tennessee has changed up their scheme a little bit offensively. Why is that? Better personnel, or what is the need to adjust Tennessee's offense this day in Tennessee sports history as well? Stat of the day, does Tennessee have a loser's mentality, celebrating a close loss to Georgia? Caleb will make himself unpopular. He's never afraid to do that. 5 Blazers to watch. Picks and bets as well as we're loaded up on this Thursday. Welcome to the program. Please hit that like button. Go ahead and get on board now. Subscribe. The show represented by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, BanksandJones.com. We broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net studio, East Tennessee's largest volume dealers. Caleb, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing, Dave?
I am fantastic. We're going to dive into my topic first that I wrote about, and that's the Vols need to cover against UAB. And it's today's tough question. My contention is this. If Tennessee comes out and covers, it shows that they're a mature team that is ready to put a close loss, but a heartbreaking loss behind them. And if they cover the 36.5 points by scoring 40 against UAB, it proves they're a mature team that are championship worthy, and I believe they are. Caleb, am I putting too much on that? It's today's tough question. Does Tennessee need to cover in this game to show you their championship medal? Yay or nay?
I don't think they need to cover. I actually disagree with you in this one. Having covered different Tennessee teams and followed different Tennessee teams over the years, I can understand certain letdowns after losses, particularly against a team like UAB and when you got a tough one at Mississippi State next week. You'll remember this, Dave. The 99 team lost to Florida 23-21. Remember, with the toss to Jamal on 4th and 3.
Yes.
The next week, they were favored by 35 at home against Memphis and won 17-16 because it took a bomb to Bobby Graham when no one knew who Bobby Graham was at the time for them to pull out that win. That was still an elite team. They didn't win a championship, but they were championship caliber. They had championship talent on that team. And now maybe you would say that was proof that they weren't as mature as the 98 team because...
Well, I think you proved my point. Yeah, they did show that they weren't. I mean, they didn't bounce back from a disappointing loss and played a lower level team at a higher level and put them out of that game. That Memphis game shouldn't have even been close. But you proved my point.
Okay, maybe I did, but also there were, what about the 97 team, Peyton Manning senior year? They lost to Florida, and then they play Ole Miss, and they beat Ole Miss 31-17, but they didn't really destroy them. And then a week later, they play Georgia, and they blow out Georgia because Jamal Lewis has his breakout game. So what I'm saying is this kind of goes different ways a lot of times. And the 97 team did win the SEC championship. So these type of things happen a lot of times in college football where you get a loss and you kind of have to bounce back. Now you're right. To be fair, I am kind of proving your point because the 99 team wasn't a title team. The 2001 team lost to Georgia though. And what was it? A week later, they played Alabama and they struggled with Alabama into the fourth quarter. And that was not a good Alabama football team that year when they went on the road. Clausen does the quarterback sneak. And they win. Another example of, I think, a championship caliber team that because of a technicality, they didn't win the SEC East was the 2003 team that lost 2 straight to Auburn and then got blown out by Georgia. And then they come back and they play an Alabama team that they should have blown out. And they needed 5 overtimes to beat them during that year. So,
yeah, and I want to say this really clearly. I don't know that they need to cover. That can be the poll question to make it succinct. But I do think Tennessee, the spread's 36.5 points. Tennessee needs to win by 35 and be comfortable in doing so, and it's not a game late. That's what I mean by covering. So I'm kind of taking the backdoor cover out of it, I guess. And I do think that Tennessee needs to go out because we had somebody say, we'll let our running back eat. That may be the case. So you win a dominating 30-point game, you're able to run the football. Now, I don't think that's going to be how Josh Heupel. I think Josh Heupel likes to score points. You would agree with that, Caleb. That certainly goes in my favor. He loves to run it up on teams like this.
Yes, he does. I actually had debates with people about last year's offense because people would bring up the overall stats for Tennessee and try to talk about how the offense was good. If you look at the stats, Dave, you and I both know this. You really have to parse out college football stats because coaches like Josh Heupel really inflate those stats when they play inferior opponents, and he did that a lot last year, and he's going to do it this year because you're right. Heupel likes to treat these games like he's playing NCAA football, a video game. I mean, he likes to light it up. That's how he is. That's how he's always been. And he wants, and I think a part of this is another underrated part of it, Dave, is Heupel wants Joey Aguilar in New York at the end of the year. He hasn't sent a quarterback to New York yet. He wants one in New York. I'm sure he feels like Hendon Hooker should have gone in 2022.
Well, he would have had it not been for the injury.
He would have. I think he really wants Joey Aguilar in New York, and I think that is a huge part of how he goes about these lesser games. He tries to inflate his quarterback stats early, and then he wants to pull them because obviously he wants to get ready for the big game next week. You don't want to leave your quarterbacks in the game when they're up by 40, but he is going to run it up in the first half with his quarterback in there, and he's going to do everything he can to inflate those stats while his quarterback is playing, and then he'll pull them, and then he's going to look. Here's what he will also do. Let's call it what it is. Heupel's going to run up the score with his backup quarterbacks also. I mean, he loves to get his backup stats in these type of games.
Okay, what's our poll question officially?
Does Tennessee need to cover against UAB? Do you want me to give the answer?
No, not the answer yet. Just give us the tease.
Okay. Yes or no? Does Tennessee need to cover against UAB?
All right. The show represented by Banks and Jones. They bring you today's tough question. BanksandJones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney. BanksandJones.com. Why Banks and Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks and Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. All right, Caleb, where do we stand on the early voting?
On the early voting right now, we are looking at does Tennessee need to cover against UAB? 75% say yes, 25% say no. So 75% are on your side. What if it's a 30-point game? What if Tennessee wins 52-28 or 24, something like that? Like, what if it's like 50?
With that particular score, I would be concerned that I don't think this UAB team's very good.
Oh, they're horrible.
So I would be concerned that your defense gave up 28 so points.
Okay, but can't there be backdoor covers too? Like, what if you're up? Now, Heupel won't do this. Heupel runs up the score, but couldn't you be up like 52-0? You pull everybody, and UAB scores a bunch of meaningless points late in the game.
Yeah, and they've got a pretty good kick returner too. So, I mean, that's possible.
Yeah,
but I don't think this is the team that you let be in the game. If they're in the game in the fourth quarter at all, and by that'd be beginning of the game, 14 points, 20 points. That's not good. That's not good for them. Sorry, not.
No, I mean that it's not. I mean, I'll give you that. And also, you want to rest for Mississippi State, which is a big part of this. You want to make sure your players are rested and ready to go for a huge road game next week. And UAB's defense, we're gonna preview them in a little while, but I'll just say this: UAB's defense is maybe the worst in college football. Their offense is good, but their defense is historically bad. And they're going up against the Tennessee offense. Tennessee should have 70 in the first half. I'm kidding. I don't think you can do that. But like, Heupel should go for 100. Go for 100.
A hundo. I like that. Speaking of hundo, Hendo, topic of conversation. You think that Joey Aguilar might be better at running Josh Heupel's offense than Hendon Hooker? That's a pretty big statement. We'll make it a new poll question as we get on board now. The show represented by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, BanksandJones.com. We broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford and Ted Russell Lincoln studios, tedrussellford.net, tedrusselllincoln.net. Now, is this just for funsies that you're throwing this out there, or do you think there's a chance that Joey Aguilar is really better at running Josh Heupel's offense than Hendon Hooker?
I think there's actually a real chance that Joey Aguilar is better at running Josh Heupel's offense than Hendon Hooker. And
Come on.
Okay, let's break him down. Hendon Hooker, we agree, through a better deep ball. Is that fair?
Yes.
He's also more mobile, so they had a lot of draw plays involving Hendon Hooker in the schemes, didn't they? Which is a big difference. Those two things I bow down. Joey Aguilar is mobile. We can agree on that, though. And Joey Aguilar throws a good enough deep ball, wouldn't you say?
I actually think it's comparable to Hooker's, which plays into your point.
So it's comparable to Hooker's, his deep ball. His mobility is serviceable. We would agree with that, right? Not like Hooker mobility, but it's still pretty serviceable.
Yes, that's the big difference, though, right?
There's one that I think is a huge difference the other way, though. Joey Aguilar is deadly accurate over the middle a lot of times. He's able to make passes over the middle that Hendon Hooker never did. Hendon Hooker never threaded the needle. And if you watch Joey Aguilar, now a lot of passes Joey Aguilar throws are inaccurate. He does miss sometimes, but he also threads some needles that I don't think Hendon Hooker ever did. I think Hendon Hooker was with Hendon Hooker, it was a screen, a draw, or a deep pass. That was pretty much it with Hendon Hooker, honestly. With Joey Aguilar, you have a lot more curl routes, a lot more slant routes, and a lot more places on the field he's able to throw to that I'm just going to be honest, Hendon Hooker can't. And I'll just point this out, guys. There's a reason Hendon Hooker got cut by Detroit. There's a reason he got picked up by Carolina. There's a reason he's still not starting in the NFL. It's because he can't make those 5-10 yard hitch route, slant route throws. That was it was either a deep pass, a screen, or a draw with Hendon Hooker. That was it. That was the offense.
All right. So people seem to be agreeing with you, which surprises me. David said not yet, but close. Close at this point in the season means it could actually happen. Ken, though, says Hendon added way more as a runner. Yeah, you have to factor that in. I mean, that is, you look back at Hendon Hooker's game, that's what 20% of his game as a quarterback, his ability to run that little option route that they ran. And he was fantastic at that. And his ability to make plays happen off the cuff with his feet. I don't think Joey Aguilar has that, nor can have that.
But what are you taking for Josh Heupel's offense specifically, Dave, as a coach? Would you rather the mobility or the ability to throw over the middle? Which one is more important in the Josh Heupel offense?
I think they're interchangeable, to be real honest with you. I'm not copying out. I think you can attack the middle of the field with either one.
But you see, Hendon Hooker couldn't attack the middle of the field. That was his problem a lot of times. They didn't really attack the middle of the field a lot with Hendon Hooker.
Well, I thought he could break the pocket when plays broke down and essentially run to the middle of the field. I'm not saying that he threw it to the middle of the field nearly as often. Steve says in spite of how fans perceived Hooker, he wasn't perfect. He did miss some throws. And I don't know. He was pretty close to perfect in this offense.
I mean, he ran the offense extremely well. But he was, again, if Hendon Hooker could make Joey Aguilar's passes over the middle, he would have set every college. I mean, he might have had 70 touchdowns and no interceptions at that point.
Well, now let me play this in your favor. That Orange Blood says the success Joey has had with wide receivers after so many injuries in camp and him only being in the team less than 100 days is impressive. That is true.
Impressive.
Yeah, the fact that he wasn't a part of spring camp is huge. We talked about that with Jimmy Himes yesterday. Caleb, that's monstrous. I mean, he should not be at this level that he is at right now. I mean, he should still be striving to get better, but he's pretty darn good already.
Yeah, I think what really stands out about this is that we've talked about this before. The hardest part of the offense for a quarterback is not necessarily picking up the offense. It's actually pretty easy to pick up. It's establishing a rapport with the receivers, because you have the receiver and the quarterback both have to be able to anticipate what the other one's going to do when the play snaps, or once the ball snapped. And I think the chemistry he's developed with Mike Matthews, Chris Brazel, and Braylon Staley, Dave, that is what's impressive to me, is to develop this level of chemistry, 100 days out is incredible. And it also shows going to write a column on this. I'm going to save it for next week, but I'm just going to go ahead and tease this. An experienced quarterback nowadays in college football is kind of a cheat code. I think gone are the days of Trevor Lawrence winning a national championship as a true freshman. With all the turnover and roster turnover and changes that are happening, the last 6 national champions have been led by quarterbacks in their 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now that you say it, it points out. And Steve said Joey Swag is as impressive as was Hooker. So that's your contention. Maybe I'm in the minority here. Orange Blood says, imagine how much better they can be in a month. That's the other thing we haven't discussed with your point, and that is, if your point's sort of right now, it's even going to be more right in a month because they're going to get better. I mean, Hendon Hooker was great from the get, but he got better throughout the season until that South Carolina debacle.
Yes, he did. He did. And he got better from 2021 to 2022. Hendon Hooker in 2021, his passing stats are comparable to 2022, but he took a lot of sacks in 2021. 2022, he was as good, and he was getting rid of the football a lot quicker. He wasn't pulling an Aaron Rodgers, who I believe, and I say this firmly, I think Aaron Rodgers throughout his career has taken a lot of sacks because he knows that doesn't hurt his quarterback rating. I'll just say it. I think he's that selfish of a player. And I think Hendon Hooker learned to get rid of the ball a lot more quickly in 2022. That's where you saw the biggest improvement. And that's actually one of the hardest parts of this offense is it's easy to read. You got to have a rapport with the receivers, but man, you got to think quick. You got to get rid of the ball fast. And that, I think, is what really stands out about Joey Aguilar. He gets rid of the ball fast. I mean, he's got that 3-second clock.
He does. Now, here's the other factor. Brazel has been an incredible surprise, says Adam. I'm not so sure that, and I know Jalen Hott won the Blitnikoff Award in 2022. I'm not so sure that Tennessee doesn't have a better crew of receivers right now than they had in 2022. And that sounds like heresy at this point in the season, but I just projecting these guys forward, I think they're incredibly talented.
Oh, I think they're better than they were in 2022. I actually agree with you on that. Chris Brazel is comparable to Ramel Keaton, wouldn't you say? Maybe even better, but comparable.
Better.
Better. Braylon Staley can do everything Jalen Hyatt could do. And guys, Mike Matthews is better than Brew McCoy or Cedric Tillman. You're not seeing it as much because he's not the one racking up the stats. Chris Brazel is. But Mike Matthews is, his speed and his ability to get open down the sideline is affecting everything on how defenses are scheming right now against Joey Aguilar. What we can criticize Nico and say Joey's better than Nico in a lot of ways, but let's be honest. Dave, Nico did not have that advantage with the receiver last year that dictated coverage the way, like you talk about dictating coverage. He didn't have one last year, and that messed up a lot of things for the offense.
No, I agree. Derek says Brazel's becoming Mr. Go-To in these big games. He's a monster in the red zone. Agreed. I mean, he is very good. I'll give him the ultimate compliment. It needs to be a Dallas Cowboy tomorrow.
You just want his career sabotaged.
No, I don't. All right, so give us a breakdown. Is Joey Aguilar running this offense as well as Hendon Hooker? What's our poll question? Where do we stand on that?
61% say yes, 39% say no. So people agree with me. He's running it better than Hendon Hooker. Love you guys. I got a lot of people on my side now. Everybody hates what I have to say.
Amen. I do. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. 2-minute stat of the day coming up this day in Tennessee sports history. The Vols have changed up their offensive scheme. Why? Is it personnel or is it just change for change's sake? We'll discuss. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem.
Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP. You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Ginger Power, the Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
All right, so want to jump into this real quick. And I like to quantify it with a poll question if we can. And Caleb, we've seen changes in this offense, and you notice some X's and O's changes schematically right off the bat. So what have you seen through 3 games, how this offense is different under Josh Heupel than it was, say, in 2022 and previous season?
Okay, so a couple of things that I've noticed are, one, the receivers are not always lining up in the wide splits. They're actually sometimes lining up on the closer hash mark, and Heupel's mixing it up when they do it. And you don't really know when they're going to do it, and it's really not indicative of a pass or a run when they're going to do it. The other part is there are just a lot more curl routes, a lot more passes over the middle, and a lot more, interestingly enough, running back screens, which before in the Heupel offense, you saw wide receiver bubble screens, but you didn't really see, like, the type of slow developing screen where the running back catches it out of the backfield. You know what I'm talking about?
True.
And none of those were really a part of the playbook just a year ago, interestingly enough. And that's what's really standing out to me.
I think this speaks to Joey Aguilar and their comfortability with him throwing over the middle. I think that's a big part of it. We discussed that earlier in the program. If you didn't have an opportunity, be sure to listen to that clip. But that, to me, is a big factor. And also throwing the screens to the running backs are a big factor. Those are all potential plays that can lead to disaster, throwing over the middle and a little wide receiver screen. If you don't read it right, throw an interception that goes the other way. So I think that is the key to that. And I think it's just more versatile. I think Josh Heupel is not defined by wide splits or tempo. I think he's able to do different things. I think he did different things with Joe Milton and Nico Iamaleava that he probably didn't want to, but he did. So we'll make it the poll question today. Is Tennessee's offense evolved greatly? Yes, this is a different crew, or no, this is just Heupel's offense, or however you want to set it up, Caleb.
Oh, I actually set it up differently because I want to know what the bigger change is. You got to take a stand, Dave. What is the biggest reason for the Vols schematic changes offensively? Just the general need to adjust the offense as defenses have adapted, or Tennessee has better personnel? Which one is it? I mean, we would say it's both to a certain degree, but what's the bigger reason for it?
I think it's Joey Aguilar's comfortability with throwing over the middle.
So you're saying it's personnel?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to say it's schematic. I mean, I'm going to say it's the need to adjust. And you're seeing this across college football, by the way. USC, low-key, their offense is back under Lincoln Riley. But let's remember what happened last year. Let's talk about the veer and shoot Arp Riles offense. That basically what Josh Heupel does is he combines the Mike Leach air raid with the Arp Riles veer offense. That's what he does. Now, let's talk about some other programs that did that last year. Alex Golish at USF, Jeff Levy at Mississippi State, Lincoln Riley at USC, and Josh Heupel at Tennessee. All of them struggled last year. Every one of them struggled last year with their offense, and there was a real issue with it. and we didn't know what was really the problem. What we realized at Tennessee was a lot of defenses started running that 3-3-5 shell. Kelsey Pope kind of let it slip the other day that after the Ohio State loss, the coaches all got together and realized we've got to reevaluate this offense. We've got to throw in some wrinkles. And they spent the whole offseason doing that. Seth Littrell, Josh Heupel hired him as an analyst after Brent Venables fired him at Oklahoma, I think helped throw a lot more wrinkles into this offense. Wasn't just Heupel. USC, low-key, the offense is back and dominating this year. We're talking about what Alex Golesh is doing at South Florida. He's a hot coaching commodity. Jeff Levy has dramatically turned around Mississippi State. I think all of these coaches that run this offense, again, developed by Art Briles, and in Josh Heupel's case, includes Mike Leach concepts, I think last year, they realized the serious need to adjust their offense. And to Josh Heupel's credit, he did that. He spent the whole offseason doing that. Now, I think Joey Aguilar ended up being a perfect fit for what he was trying to do. I think the receivers are better. There are a lot of other reasons. But I do think they spent the offseason trying to update this offense because defensive personnel was starting to figure it out. And so I think that's the biggest reason for a lot of the changes offensively.
But this was still a good offense last year, even though it was hamstrung by Nico. I think that I think in some ways you're not giving them enough credit because you have to give them credit for staying ahead of the curve. That's what they've done.
Yeah, I am giving him credit. That's what I mean. It was a need to stay ahead of the curve. I really challenged the idea that this offense was that good last year. I get Dylan Sampson, set the rushing record and the touchdowns record. But Dave, let's just go down the SEC list. 25 points against Oklahoma, 14 against Arkansas, 23 against Florida, and that took overtime. 24 against Alabama, 28 against Kentucky, 33 against Mississippi State, 17 against Georgia, 36 against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was their highest scoring game in the SEC last year, and they scored 36 points. That's not a Josh Heupel offense at all. They already surpassed that just last week against Georgia this year for their high. Last week against Georgia, they scored more points than they scored in any SEC game last year, and they scored more in regulation than they scored in any SEC game last year.
Okay, so are you saying that this offense is better than it was, significantly better than it was last season, automatically?
Leaps and bounds
I
better
agree.
than it was last season. And I don't think you can put all that on Nico to Joey Aguilar. I don't think you can put all that on the change and the improvement at wide receiver. I think some of this has to do with Josh Heupel has thrown in some new wrinkles that were not there last year. And honestly, that's where Nico really made a mistake because he could have enjoyed some of the fruits of the labor of Josh Heupel throwing these wrinkles in this year. And he may not have been as good as Aguilar, but he certainly would have been better than he was last year.
Well, and Littrell, I mean, he didn't know that he was going to come in and do some of the things. I think he's added some spice to the offense after leaving Oklahoma.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I'll just tell you guys this. Josh Heupel's waiting for someone to give Joey Halsley a call, give him a job so he can go ahead and make Seth Littrell his offensive coordinator. Honestly. I think Seth Littrell has a lot more to do with this offense than Joey Halsley does. I think Joey Halsley is, you call him a bag man. He's an offensive coordinator who's basically a bag man. I don't think he does that much with this offense. And Seth Littrell coming in changes everything for this offense in a really big way.
Well, if that's the case, then Tennessee has an excellent staff because Joey Halsley has done some things with Joey Aguilar, I believe, and have been told from a fundamental standpoint that have helped him. So you essentially have a quarterback coach, you have an offensive coordinator, then you have an offensive coordinator as your head coach. That's a very solid offensive staff.
Oh, incredibly solid. I agree. And you also have some rising stars. Look, I mean, Kelsey Pope has actually been part of the schematic evolution of this offense since he was an off-field analyst. He is right. Kelsey Pope is in training to be an offensive coordinator. I think you and I would both agree on that. And
Yes.
He's going to be one day. And I think that, you could see the moves going as it is. It'll be Joey Halsley, then it'll be Seth Littrell, then it'll be Kelsey Pope. And guys, all of them might get head coaching jobs because Josh Heupel is developing a coaching tree. And I really do think that a lot of this has to do with the schematic changes. Now, let's be fair here. We've talked about this before. We're talking about Joey Aguilar versus Nico. We're talking about this need to adjust. The receivers, I can't stress this enough, are so much better than they were last year. It's insane. how much better the receivers.
Well, and if you looked at them just as a profile, you wouldn't say so because you'd think Brew McCoy was coming back and playing at a high level, but that wasn't the case. And I feel for him. And that injury was one of those rare ones nowadays where it does derail your career. And that's what it did. And I didn't think that'd be the case because most of the time guys bounce back from injuries, but he just has not been the same. I don't even know if he's on an NFL team right now, to be honest with you. But Brew
no, he was forced to medically retire.
Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. It's a shame. This day in Tennessee sports history is brought to you by Commercial Bank. Our friends at Commercial Bank offer you fantastic banking that you just can't get anywhere else. Commercial Bank, bank on it. It is this day in Tennessee sports history.
This day in Tennessee sports history.
It's cool, baby. It's cool.
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Off the Hook Sports.
What do you got this day in Tennessee sports history? It's Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank. Caleb?
21 years ago today, James Woolhoit nailed a 50-yard field goal to beat Florida 30-28 after missing a game-tying extra point on the previous drive.
It's one of my favorite stories of covering sports ever. Have I told you this story before?
I don't think you have, actually.
So I was very close to the Woolhoit family, as close to them as any family I covered. Just liked them, vibed with them. And when he missed that extra point, I was like, oh my goodness, how awful for him. And then he's able to hit the 50-yarder to win it. And I remember leaving the field and seeing his parents, and they were both, it was like they had been on laughing gas because his dad was a dentist. They were laughing so hard they could not control themselves nor even speak. And they were just giddy because they realized what they had avoided. And that would be forever James Woolhoit, because it had been years since Tennessee had beaten Florida, right?
Yeah, it had. Well, no, not that point. No, because they'd beaten Florida the year before in the Swamp, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry. But that would have been one that was incredibly tough to live down.
Yes.
Just seeing an extra point.
Yes, I totally agree. And they got a lot of help from a missed personal foul penalty. Remember that? Where Dallas Baker got flagged for a personal foul for retaliating on Jonathan Wade for hitting him first.
Yes.
And
yes. But I just remember the Woolhoits were just, giggling. Could not compose themselves. It was one of the most fantastic moments in sports that I've been a part of. The show represented by Banks & Jones. That's Bank on It this day in Tennessee history, brought to you by Commercial Bank as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, East Tennessee's largest volume dealer on Parkside Drive and Kingston Pike. TedRussellFord.net, TedRussellLincoln.net. Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
Everything going well on the program, and Caleb says that Tennessee has a loser's mentality based off how they responded against Georgia. We'll discuss 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln, Knoxville.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem. Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink. If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP.
You are not gonna believe this.
You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Frank, like the name, but serious or something. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun, represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
All right. What the H? Caleb Calhoun is raining down the Vols Big Orange Parade that has been overwhelmingly positive. But Caleb brings up a good point. What the H is right now, and it's brought to you by Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net.
What the H?
Wow, I never worked hard on anything. What a cool life.
For real? The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun, represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Caleb, everything going well in Knoxville, and you've got a rain down on the parade. And I say rain as in RAINREIGN as well. Why does Tennessee have a loser's mentality, in your opinion?
Because we're talking about them as a potential national title contender because of a loss. When did that ever happen at the heyday of Tennessee football? Ever? When did anybody go, oh, we're going to win it all because we almost beat a really good team? Guys, you know who else? You know who else has taken Georgia toe-to-toe over the past few years when they've been national title contenders? Missouri when they were 6-7, Kentucky when they were 4-8, South Carolina with Will Muschamp. Okay, you're not special taking Georgia to the final whistle at home. Kirby Smart toys with his opponents all the time, and because you did what 5-7 and 6-6 teams have done in the past, all of a sudden you're a national title contender by not winning? Guys, come on. You should be distraught. I think Tennessee fans should be a champion, by the way, is cut up and pained by this loss and doesn't want to talk to anybody and so desperately wants to get back out on the field to make up for what just happened. But Tennessee is like, we proved we could go toe-to-toe. Well, you're in year 5 under Josh Heupel, and Georgia's not the same Georgia that they were just 3 years ago. You should be able to go toe-to-toe with them at home, okay? I'm just going to say it. I picked Tennessee to beat Georgia at the beginning of the year. That was my pick from the start. I picked them to upset Georgia going into last week. I don't know why everybody else is pleasantly shocked. I'm literally just, Tennessee's what I thought they would be. I thought they were good enough to beat Georgia. They were good enough to beat Georgia at home, and they blew it. They blew a golden opportunity. I think champions look at these moments and say, man, we really screwed that up. We should have gotten that one. They don't look at that moment and say, I'm so happy I can play a team close. Oh my gosh, we're one of them now. Come on.
Adam says if giving us a chance to win on a field goal is Kirby Smart toying, then he's the GOAT.
He is.
That is a factor. You also have to factor this in, that fans are excited because there's a college football playoff. Previously, had you lost a game like this, it was essentially Florida in September, and the only chance you have for playing for a national championship is they lose a couple of SEC games so you can even get in the mix. But that's not the case anymore. That's part of the reason there's still a sense of optimism despite a loss, right?
Yes, because that is true. It's not an elimination game the way it used to be. But also, if you can't beat Georgia at home when you're given that golden opportunity, and let's be upfront, I mean, they were given kind of a golden opportunity to beat Georgia at home. What makes you think you're going to beat them on the road? Makes you think you're going to beat them at a neutral site? What makes you think you're going to beat other teams of their caliber, like Ohio State in a playoff game? I mean, you should be hurt by a loss like that. You should be angry. Matt, first of all, I'll just say this, and I'll be upfront. Dave, Max Gilbert shouldn't have been allowed to walk campus without people hating on him this week. I have a really strong feeling about kickers who miss makeable field goals, particularly in the NIL age. You should make your field goals. Okay, now, again, we should be talking a lot more, and we have somewhat, about how Josh Heupel lost that game. He played careful. He pulled a Lane Kiffin against Alabama in 2009. And I think that's what, maybe this is where I'm going with this. Josh Heupel seemed to coach that game as, I'd rather keep this a one-score game and brag about only losing to Georgia by one score than actually try to win. You
don't believe that's the case, do you?
I think sitting on a 35-30 lead in field goal range and running it 3 times to just kick a field goal makes me believe that. Yeah, no, it makes me believe that. You go for the jugular right there. You go for the jugular. He didn't do it because he wanted to keep this a one-score game so he could sell to everybody. It was a one-score game, guys. I kept it close. Am I not amazing in year 5, keeping a game close with a team that won a national title 3 years ago by keeping it close with them at home? Am I not so impressive? Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what he did. And I think that's exactly what Lane Kiffin did with Alabama in 2009, too, by the way. He wanted to sell keeping it close and not screwing up. Here's what happened. Josh Heupel took the game out of his own hands. He didn't want to get blamed for making a play call that would have cost Tennessee. And so he wants to be like, I did my job. I set up Tennessee for a game-winning field goal, and I did my job. I spotted the defense at 38-30 lead, and they couldn't hold. And then I did my job. I set up Tennessee for a game-winning field goal. Not my fault if the kicker misses. I'm just the coach. I can't kick for the players. Okay.
Gregory said he got scared, Caleb, for sure. Let's ask that question. Did Josh Heupel get scared against Georgia?
Yes. Josh Heupel got scared against. Yes, he got scared against Georgia. Josh Heupel got scared. It was a loser's mentality. It was passing the ball when you have a game-winning shot. It was. It reminded me of here's an old name for you, Dave. Old Scooter McFadden when he was the leading scorer at Tennessee in basketball, but he would always pass up game-winning shots because he didn't want the moment. Josh Heupel had the moment. He blew it. And I think and now everybody's giving him credit. Everybody's celebrating because, I mean, maybe Josh Heupel is onto something because guess what? Sounds like Tennessee fans don't really care. They're very happy about going toe-to-toe with Georgia, as if they shouldn't have gone toe-to-toe with Georgia in year 5 under Josh Heupel.
I'm with Trevor, though. I don't think Heupel was trying to keep the game close. He was just too conservative. I think coaches by nature are conservative.
I think he was trying to keep the game close. And I think he was trying to keep the game close because, again, that's not Josh Heupel's nature. Josh Heupel's aggressive, and he always has been. And not just doing that, but the punt on 4th and 2 at midfield when you're up 21-14. I've never seen a program that did Alabama ever during the Nick Saban years celebrate losing a close game, Dave?
No.
Did you ever hear Nick Saban go, well, I'm just so proud of the way we had Auburn beat and there was the kick 6 and that blew it. But, we went toe to toe with the number 4 ranked team in the country. You never heard Alabama say that. Why should you expect that if you're a Tennessee fan? What type of, again, I guess you could say they covered. They were a 3.5-point underdogs and they only lost by 3 in overtime. But guys, this was a loser's mentality in every way. I'm sorry. Josh Heupel it has cultivated a loser's mentality for Tennessee by the nature of everybody making this out to be a moral victory. I thought moral victories don't exist in Knoxville. Maybe I was crazy. I thought by year 5, you shouldn't have moral victories. But what do I know? Okay. I just remember Tennessee expecting to win every time they stepped out onto the field. And if you think you're a championship caliber team, you should expect to win every time you're out on the field and not be happy with a close loss. But that's how I thought champions behave. I don't see the Chiefs saying we went toe-to-toe with the Eagles last week, and we only lost by 3. No, I see Chiefs fans be like, oh my gosh, we're 0-2. Is our dynasty over? And they're freaking out.
And Nathaniel says Caleb is not a champion of life. That's correct.
Oh my gosh, you know what? Every Tennessee fan celebrating a close loss is acting like Butch Jones. Josh Heupel is acting like Butch Jones.
That's just
they are acting like Butch Jones. It is Butch Jones-esque to be doing what Tennessee fans are doing right now.
What's our poll question? Where do we stand on that?
Do Vols have a loser's mentality by celebrating a close loss to Georgia? Yes, 23%. No, 77%. I'm sorry. It's a loser's mentality. It is a total loser's mentality to celebrate a close loss, and it is a Butch Jones move. It's a Butch Jones move, and we're hearing champions of life now. I'm just saying it.
Keith says Caleb is definitely a glass half empty kind of guy. Butch Jones, the master of the moral victory. Heupel has actually beaten some good teams. I'd have to agree with that.
Oh, he's beaten some good teams. Oh, well, I stand corrected. Guys. This is Josh Heupel. Because he's beaten good teams in the past, we should really celebrate his real close win. You know, Dave, I think we should rehash Fulmer's legacy. I think we should give Fulmer like 3 more national champions because, you know, he almost beat Florida in 1996. Did you know that, Dave?
It's true.
And they proved they could go toe-to-toe with Steve Spurrier and Danny Warfel. Phil Fulmer should claim the national title in 1996, guys.
And Derek does say, I felt sick after that loss. I'm not sure what Caleb's talking about. Yeah, I think you felt one of 3 ways. You felt like Tennessee was good enough to win a championship, and that's where I am. Or you felt awful that they lost, or you felt like that Tennessee was essentially the team that you thought they were headed into the game, and you had them high on your board. I did not have them that high. So I think it depends on your impressions of them going into the game.
Maybe to be fair, and I'll say this much, Dave. This is kind of what I hate about the expanded college football playoff. I really do miss, I'm sorry. I mean, I miss to the highest degree the concept of when you lose a game, it stings forever because you might not be able to come back from it. That was the most beautiful part of college football. And the old school me is now coming back and saying, man, can we have that back? Can we have that back? Honestly, I mean, I know that's kind of crazy to say, but Dave, come on. Wasn't that what made college football so amazing?
No, you're right. That's gone. Warrior Angel said, you're not celebrating a close loss. You hate the loss, but you're being very optimistic and validated in what you thought your team could do. Right. But the way this used to go in the 90s is you would have just cost yourself a chance at winning a championship, SEC or otherwise, right? You're looking at a Citrus Bowl.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly where I'm landing. You would be looking at a Citrus Bowl. It is Dave would be packing his bags as the reporter gearing up to have to go to Disney World for a 7th time, basically.
Stat of the day is right now. The latest on the Vols stat of the day is brought to you by our good friends at Scott's Plumbing.
Stat of the day. They never lie. Or do they? Stat of the day. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Off the Hook Sports.
What do you got, Caleb? Actually, stat of the day brought to you by Sports Treasures. Over 5 million Sports Treasures in North Knoxville. They've got the pools, the ticket pools. A lot of fun. So get out there. We love Sports Treasures. What do you got?
Do we love Sports Treasures? I do too. I actually do. Got a lot of good stuff. Okay, so stat of the day is Josh Heupel at Tennessee, 11-2 the week after a loss. Speaking of losses and how Tennessee should take them, they are 11-2 the week after a loss. Josh Heupel is.
What are the 2 losses?
2021, Tennessee lost to Alabama the week after they lost to Ole Miss.
Okay.
And 2023, they lost to Georgia the week after they lost to Missouri.
That is the stat of the day, 11-2 after a loss, brought to you by Sports Treasures. Over 5 million Sports Treasures in North Knoxville.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vols collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
The Blazers you need to watch for and picks. More coming up off the Hook Sports with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vols collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at NFC1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
A guy with a lot of jobs, but this one is the most important.
This is not government work. As such, I treat it with care and attention.
Until someone else calls. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Orange Blood says, conservative calls aside, I'm more satisfied with the close loss where we had the lead most of the game than never being competitive the previous 8 years. That's true, but I think what Caleb was speaking to is that overall that shouldn't be okay, right?
No, that's where I'm landing. Is that should never be okay if you're a Tennessee fan. You should never be okay with just keeping things close. I just don't think that's how. I feel like that's never been the mantra for Tennessee football. I mean, in my experience, as long as you've been covering them, now if this was Josh Heupel's first year, his second year, we may be having a different conversation. But Josh Heupel's in year 5, guys. This isn't year 3 or 2. This is year 5. And again, we're talking about Tennessee. The reasons Tennessee didn't go toe-to-toe with Georgia in the past were many. Georgia was better. When Tennessee had comparable teams, they were on the road both times. This is the first year they fielded a playoff caliber team where they faced Georgia at home. And Georgia, guys, was not good going into this game. And so I think when you take all that into account, we know this. Kirby Smart has a really bad habit of looking ugly on the road. That's kind of a known thing with him. So I think when you take all of that into account, it becomes extremely hard for me to look at this and say, well, Tennessee is looking okay. I think they should be happy. And I mean, I just feel like that's something Tennessee never did as a program back in the day, ever.
Are the 5 Blazers to watch? We're going to fit it into 4 downs. Brought to you by Cooper Mays. 5 Blazers to watch as Tennessee faces UAB this weekend on Saturday, about a 36.5-point favorite. I say they cover. We'll get into why right now with 5 Blazers to watch. Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, give me a couple off the cuff here as we'll go first down with Coop.
Coop here. First down.
All right, a couple off the cuff, and these are 2 players that filled out the 5, but they're probably the least important together. But Javon Jackson, the running back, just because he's the main running back, he has 277 rushing yards on the year, and Tamarian Crumpley has 4 pass deflections. He's the lockdown corner. Joey Aguilar is a little bit risky sometimes, and so I think when you take that into account, they might have to be careful with him. But I'm going to give you guys a spoiler alert. Tamarian Crumpley is going to be the only defense player on this list because the defense is horrible for UAB.
Horrible. Really, really bad. All right.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right. Second down. Who we got? Solomon
Beebe, the kick returner. He was a all AAC kick returner in the offseason. He is already run one back for a touchdown this year. He's averaging 11 yards a punt return. If Tennessee's going to put UAB away, and I'm sure they expect to, they got to make sure that this guy doesn't catch them off guard. I think that's a really, really, really big deal. I think they will. Don't get me wrong. I think they will, but I think it's a big deal that they do that.
No, I agree. Yeah, he's surprised some people. I heard an interview with their head coach, Trent Dilfer, who was talking about he's kind of gotten fortunate, and it made me wonder if he was downplaying it a little bit, and that he's had returns that by kickers that have kept the ball in play where most are going to put it through the end zone. But yeah, he's got some confidence and he'll bring it out. So if you're going to cover, you don't want to give up a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing is you don't want that to happen. So
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Third down. Who we got?
All right. Wide receiver Corey Milliner. Corey Milliner is both receivers, by the way, are very good. Corey Milliner has 17 catches for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Iverson Cook has 16 catches for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Milliner is the bigger star. He is going to be the go-to guy, and we saw what Tennessee secondary did last week, and so they got to be ready. They got to be ready to go. Jalen Kitten is a really, really good quarterback for his level. So when you take that into account, I think that Tennessee they have to account for Milliner at all times, and he could be dangerous.
Yep, fair enough.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
Is fourth down going to be Kitna?
Yep, fourth down is going to be Jalen Kitna, who, guys, he's completing 71% of his passes for 892 yards, 9 yards an attempt in a true pro-style offense. The guy's an NFL quarterback at the group of 5 level right now. I mean,
that means to me he's not going to make mistakes. Makes it tougher for Tennessee to cover 36.5.
Well, he will definitely make it a little bit difficult, but I think it depends on how Trent Dilfer approaches this. One of the things that some schools have done against Tennessee, and you've noticed this day when Heupel runs up the score, they leave their starters in just to make it somewhat a little more respectable in the fourth quarter, right? And that's where you see Heupel's defense give up a lot of yards. Will Trent Dilfer do that, or will he pull his starters? We don't know. I mean, I don't know what your stance is. If your team is down 65-0, do you pull your starters and just go ahead and, wrap it up for the next week? Philip Fulmer did that consistently a lot of times if he was getting blown out.
I'd probably keep mine out there. Philip Fulmer didn't get blown out a lot like.
No, he didn't. But there was one. The one that stands out to me is the Georgia 2003 game where remember the Sean Jones fumble return at halftime, and by the third quarter, Georgia was up 41-7, and he pulled everybody. But I don't know if Trent Dilfer keeps his starters in, then yes, Jalen Kitten might help UAB cover in a backdoor way because they're going to throw it all over Tennessee secondary. Tennessee secondary is already questionable, but if you pull the starters, then they could even have more questionable moments. So Kitten I think might actually hit a couple of big plays in this game.
Okay, that's fair. Let's get to some picks and bets for the upcoming weekend. For the record, my column is on offthehooksports.com. I do have Tennessee covering because I think they're a mature team and they're that much better. I think Tennessee's championship worthy. I think they cover the 36.5. Where do you stand on that?
I think they cover the 36.5. And guys, if we're starting with Tennessee, they're one of my one of their bets is my best bet, one of my 5 best bets of the week. And
That's hot.
You want me to give it to you now?
Yes.
Guys, the best over pick of the week is Tennessee UAB, the over 69.5. The combination of these two schools might hit 100. I mean,
that's hot.
Take the over. Throw everything you have on the over. I'm seeing points galore. Tennessee themselves might cover 69.5, might hit the over. And I mean, they might cross 70. But if they don't, UAB is definitely going to hit a couple to help them cross 70. Points. Get some money. Do an alternate over. Take 80. Take over 80 in this game.
Oh, okay. All right. What do you got? Who else in your best bets of the weekend?
So the best. Well, let's go through the SEC games real quick, and then I'll tell you where I'm landing on the best ones. But for the SEC and top 25 games, I think Memphis is a 7.5 point underdog to Arkansas at home. I actually think they cover that. I think Memphis keeps it a 1-score game, and the game hits the over 62.5.
Okay.
You gonna play hot or cold with me on this, and tell me if I'm hot with what you agree with?
That's hot.
I'll agree with you on that. I like Memphis.
All right. Ole Miss 13.5. They cover against Tulane, and that game hits the over 61.5.
That's hot.
I'm agreeing with you on that as well. I don't want to agree with you on every one, but I'm 3 for 3 here.
Auburn visiting Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 6.5. I think Hugh Freeze covers. I think Auburn plus 6.5, but the game hits the under 47.5. Jackson Arnold returned to Oklahoma. It'll be an ugly defensive slugfest.
No, I'll take Oklahoma on that one. Cover.
Okay.
All right.
Northern Illinois plus 21.5 at Mississippi State. I think they cover. They've actually played some teams tough, and Mississippi State is looking ahead to Tennessee, and that'll make them play a little sloppy. Take the under 49.5.
I agree with that on both scenarios.
That's hot.
Missouri minus 9.5 for South Carolina. Lenore Sellers hurt. Missouri's going to blow them out and take the under 47.5 because South Carolina's not going to score enough.
Yep, and Missouri tends to win games like this that keeps their head coach in place.
That's hot.
Yep.
And this is the kind of game that he'll win.
Yep. Miami minus 7.5 against Florida. Take the over 51.5 because Miami, I think, is going to score all over them.
I'm not going to roll with you there. Okay.
Really? Okay. Dave believes in the details of Billy Napier.
Yes. Detail-oriented Billy Napier.
All right. Here's an interesting one. Georgia State plus 27.5 at Vanderbilt. The game hits the over. This is just that type of game where Vanderbilt always looks ugly just when you start to believe in them, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
That's hot.
Couple of Division II ones real quick that SEC teams are playing. Southeastern Louisiana plus 39.5 at LSU under 51.5, and Sam Houston plus 39.5 at Texas under 51.5. I think both of those, they got some offensive issues, Texas and LSU, so they won't cover, and the games will hit the under. Ugly ones on those. And before we get to my best bets, Utah minus 3 at home against Texas Tech, top 25 matchup worth watching. That game will hit the over 57.5. That's going to be the Big 12 thriller of the week. And Illinois plus 6.5 against Indiana. That game's going to hit the over 52.5. Now, as for my best bets of the week, I see Dave's breaking for me. I think Miami minus 7.5 against Florida is my best bet of the week. I think Florida's quit on Billy Napier.
If that's the case, then yeah, you're good. But I'm going to say that this is the final hurrah for Billy Napier, and he keeps it.
Okay. Illinois plus 6.5 at Indiana. I think nobody in the Big Ten respects Indiana because they have played nobody for a year and a half and snuck into the college football playoff. And I think the Big Ten I think Big Ten schools that are decent like Illinois are on a mission to humiliate them now.
That's hot.
I could see that.
Yep. Now I told you guys, Tennessee UAB, take the over 69.5 points. The under of the week for me, Purdue and Notre Dame. 54.5 is too high. I think they're doing that because of what Texas A&M did to Notre Dame last week, but Purdue's not going to do that. So take the under. But my money line upset of the week, Dave, Nebraska's going to upset Michigan at home. Bank on it. Book it.
No way.
Nebraska's going to upset Michigan at home. Book it. Money line of the week. Get rich, kids. Now, again, Tennessee really blew it for me last week. They were my money line pick last week, and Max Gilbert cost me money. So I really don't like Max. He should give me some of his NIL money because he cost me so much.
Derek says, as Tennessee fans, we need Florida, honestly, to win this game. Do they let Napier finish the season? That gets into the contract situations. I don't know what it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't finish the season. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Do you root for SEC teams in this scenario? Gators beating Miami, or do you care?
I think you root for Gators for schedule strength because the SEC strong-armed the college football playoff to value schedule strength a lot more this year than they did last year. That could hurt Tennessee in November and December because Tennessee's schedule is just it's very favorable to the point to where there's going to be a 9-3 team sneak into the college football playoff one year, and it could be this year. Tennessee won't be able to get in at 9-3. They have to go 10-2. And if Florida is really, 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 really bad, they could be in a cluster with a few other 10-2 SEC teams trying to get that final playoff spot.
Right. You're absolutely right. I think they can lose one more game, but I don't think they can lose two. And I do think they are a college football playoff team. So I think they'll lose one more game potentially, but win the rest of them schedule and make the college football playoff. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. We broadcast daily live at 10 a.m. from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, tedrussellford.net, tedrusselllincoln.net, Parkside Drive, and Kingston Pike. Man, Ted Russell is East Tennessee's largest volume dealer. They have your vehicle, no question about it. They are fantastic. Off the Hook Sports broadcasting live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios each and every weekday at 10 a.m. Tell them that's why you're there, is because you know they have the vehicle you need on their lot right now. For Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker, Off the Hook Sports.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume 4 dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.